This is part of our Football 101 series from UGAsports.com. It's under the banner of Film Don't Lie. I'm Dayne Young. That's Brent Rollins. During the season after Georgia games, usually the Sunday after Georgia has played on a Saturday, we will break down the film, show you what we saw, maybe some things you didn't see the first go around. But in whatever offseason is remaining here, we're doing some Football 101 content, things that Georgia does that you can watch out for. And Brent, I think a lot of times people get this confused of, is Georgia running an RPO? Is it a play action? We're here to help kind of assess what that looks like.
Yeah, just as much as fans oftentimes are confused, the announcers of the game oftentimes say, hey, this is an RPO or this is a zone read. And there's so many more elements to what's going on. But there is, from a big picture standpoint of what you can look for from being a fan to see, okay, this is true. Hey, the QB is making a decision whether to run the ball or throw something, or whether this is a true just play action pass.
So we'll get started here. This is Georgia versus Mississippi State. Just off the hoof here, what do you look for to determine what is an RPO?
First, the biggest thing is watching the offensive line. If you see the offensive line truly moving forward and blocking downfield, maybe not necessarily 4 or 5 yards, because 3 yards in college is the rule that they have to be in before the ball is released, or it's lineman downfield. But for the most part, like you see zone left here, and you see guys working down the field. And if you see, especially if you see an offensive lineman come through the pile and try to get to a second level, and the QB pulls and throws the ball like here, like Truss is still blocking his tail off right there, pushing sort of forward. And that's kind of the telltale sign of, hey, this is an RPO where receivers are running the routes, QBs are making decisions, and the offensive line is blocking as if it's a running play.
You're looking at the offensive line. I'm looking at what the quarterback is thinking, knowing that an RPO situation here of what could that pass be. And what I'm going to tell people relentlessly in this video, look for where the space is here, especially corners playing off the ball. That's exactly where Stetson puts this.
Yeah, and what's interesting about when Georgia runs a lot of their true RPO game, it's either first down where the QB is making a decision, hey, let's get something out quick and have positive start to a drive or a series of plays, or it's short yardage where you want to make sure the defense is wrong. That no matter how the defense plays, that you make them incorrect with how they choose to play it. And here they play off, Stetson takes advantage, easy first down.
And I think it's probably a first down in this case, running it too. This is easier, though. You have more space to work with. One thing with RPO, just personnel-wise, looking to 2023, and I say this every video with Georgia, you don't have Darnell Washington anymore. And in RPO, when he can be an extra tackle on the field, this gives a lot more versatility, even more time for that decision to play out.
Yep, and I think you're going to see more what we see in a few plays than what you see in this in these two first couple with the true sort of inside run game as the choice. The other thing, like you pointed out, line of sight, QB's line of sight here is same side where eyes are there, ball is thrown there. Pay attention to that as we move forward.
All right, next play. We have Auburn here. I want everyone you're going to point out some offensive line stuff, I know, but watch this corner here for Auburn because it completely dictates this play.
And this is one where I'd love to know what the sort of little hand signal, little nod, little eye tap, or is it always there? Read. But this is one for me. I think back to Brett Favre. Like Brett Favre and who was the receiver? Really good. Antonio Freeman maybe was his name. Those two were on this same page a lot. Aaron Rodgers did this a lot, obviously after Favre, where you can just tell the entirety of the team, except for the QB and the one receiver, it's a run play, and they just do their own thing. Like Tate Ratledge here is, moving into the second level, 100% running play to him.
Just look at this again. Where's the space? It's right here. Auburn has no one from the interior shading out. It's going to be there. Show it one more time for you.
Yeah, Ratledge is working to the second level, and then boom. But what do you get? No matter what, you now have a successful first down play. You're in 2nd and 3, which basically opens up the entirety of your offense.
Boom, boom.
And the other thing with this, with moving forward into 2023, I could see more of some things like this, more now type throws, because of, I think Beck has at least a little in terms of short area arm strength, possibly a little bit more so than Stetson quick arm strength, at least the start of the season. And then also the height factor. Like he's 6'4", big, tall kid who can see this, get rid of it quick. So you might see a little bit more of this to kind of keep consistency and efficiency within the offense.
Formationally, I do want to point out this kind of trio concept over here draws so much attention from defenses. I mean, just look at where body language from Auburn is over here. And so when Georgia can command that kind of attention, that's what opens up for someone on a side of the field by themselves.
And what is that? That's 3 tight ends, by the way.
Yeah.
So that's a heavy personnel package. We're coming downhill right at you oftentimes. And then now you throw the ball off of that. Good luck, defense.
Next up, again, we have a corner drop situation here from Florida.
Now, both of the first two we showed sort of eyes in the same direction looking. Here, the fake is left, sort of to the QB's left, and then the ball is thrown, so he throws where his back was. You see offensive line working down. And the beautiful part about this for Georgia's offense, and I think this is where Todd Monken truly evolved with a lot of the input of some of the ancillary staff members and other people on the staff, but this is the spread sort of passing version of the triple offense. Like you have interior run, and then look at the top of the screen where you have bubble off of the trips bunch action if you want it. If the numbers dictate that you go there, you've got that action. And then, of course, you've got what actually happened, which is the throw to Darnell at the bottom of the screen, which I love, by the way.
Yeah, from a personnel standpoint, you give me a guy the size of LeBron James with a corner that's backing up, and it's 1st and 10. I'll take some easy yards. Thank you.
Former Georgia corner, I think, is who that was at the bottom of the screen. Is that Kimber, I think?
Maybe it was.
I think it might be.
He's buried in the ground. You can't dig him up. That's him.
Anything where Darnell's was out wide, I enjoyed thoroughly. But again, what do you see? It's not so much when you think about run pass option. It is that an RPO run pass option. And what's interesting about it is if you talk to a lot of offensive coaches and just coaches in general, run pass option verbiage, because you're giving the quarterback the opportunity to throw the ball, is oftentimes a throw. So that's where QBs have to really be able to read and see the defense and make sure that you put the defense in a situation where they're wrong no matter what they choose.
Another kind here, we're going back a season to the classic Arkansas game.
Yes, and I just sort of flipped the verbiage there. Instead of RPO, which you hear all the time, this is something that Georgia, even back in 2019, and we're going to see a play from 2019 here in a second, this is the PRO, the pass first, then run option. And this is one, especially with Stetson, that was a unique option for Georgia, where this is hey, throw it if it's there, but if not, you're running QB draw. Because you see the two guards, that's Justin Schaefer and I think, is that Erickson?
Is that Warren Erickson? Yeah.
I think, yeah. Working forward. And now obviously the timing here has to be exactly to the point where they don't get past 3 yards and then also the ball's out. But I think you're going to see a little bit more of this type as much as the sort of traditional RPO, where it's a pass and then not necessarily quarterback draw variety, but what we're going to see in the next play.
One thing with this is when this option is here, you need to keep the middle of the field clean. So you're going to notice these routes very much go deep toward the end zone and away from this middle of the field area. So that way you're not attracting people to the center of it if it is the running option in this.
Yeah, and this is another thing with Georgia out of empty. I'm very curious to see Georgia, how they operate out of empty this year, given how solid their offensive line should be from a pass protection standpoint. It'd be how much quick game versus actually working down the field concepts.
You mentioned 19. We go to the bowl game. This is Jake Fromm.
Well, we've seen a lot of George Pickens recently in highlights in training camp. So we figured you might as well show some George Pickens highlights from back in the day. But this is one where it is pass first, if you get the coverage you want. And he's got the one-on-one coverage that he wants. And, you still see offensive line. And by the way, if it gives the run here, it gets blown up. But still, correct choice. And he doesn't even fake the ball. But everybody's blocking as if it's a run. They're not sort of setting back. And we're going to sort of show that to comparison to play action. But again, 2 back-to-back plays here where it's sort of pass first, then run option versus the traditional run, zone read type mesh action and then throwing behind it.
That's one of the best throws that Jake Fromm ever made. Just perfect.
Yes. You are right. 100% correct.
And then we
get podcast guest, Jake Fromm.
Then we get into play action.
And this is one where, okay, how do you tell? We talked about this at the top. How do you tell the difference? Watch the offensive line. Watch how they set. Watch how their movement. Are they sitting sort of still in their blocks and setting up as a pass block, or are they consistently moving forward? Here you get that initial step of, hey, I'm firing off the ball to hit you, or I'm working to the right to zone right, engage, and then get set to pass block. And you also see Stetson hold the ball just a little bit longer oftentimes on this. And it's depending upon what it is that they're doing. But watch the 2 linebackers and then the safety that's right on the gold line there in the middle of the field with the white long socks. Watch him and the 2 linebackers because, if this is something where Stetson could potentially keep the ball, he's got to play the QB. And then he comes up just enough to let Bowers over the top, and Bowers obviously does his thing.
For the entire offensive line to be able to block right and give this look, it is critical that, again, Darnell Washington personnel is able to come back and be a backside blocker, extra tackle.
Yep, and we've talked about split zone, and this is, if this is a run and they give the ball, this is the kind of that split zone look where everybody's working right and then Darnell's coming back against. But again, you do that. I think if anybody's ever listened to podcasts, there's the Play Callers podcast on The Athletic, talked about Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay. And the biggest thing that Shanahan talks about was, hey, how can I make 10 plays look like 1? And that's what this does. And on first down, when you want to hit bigger plays, go for it.
Another look here against Tennessee this past season.
10 guys when Stetson makes this fake, 10 guys within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. And this, in terms of throws, like that might be, you talk about Jake's best throw. This might be, there's a couple within the lore of Stetson Bennett, but this one's up there because I think this is the longest throw in terms of air yards that he made in his career, like 56 or something like that in the air. And then also the little peak above that we talked about in Film Don't Lie when we did this game itself. But again, you see offensive line, you see the pulling guard, which kind of functions as the Darnell that we just showed a little bit ago. Right, left guard pulls right. Boom, right there. You get the fake. Everybody's setting up. But again, if you want to know, hey, what's the difference, play action versus RPO? Watch the offensive line. Beautiful throw and catch.
Do you think here the running back leak, is this a check down at the end, or is this just I didn't hit a block, so let me leak through to this spot here? I never know with these because I could see this going either way. To me, it looked like there was no one to block. I might as well.
I think you're 100% right on that. I think it's block if necessary. If not, become an outlet guy.
Yeah.
Last but not least, let's watch the left inside linebacker, good old number 2.
You had fun with him in this Film Don't Lie, if I remember.
I think, was he on the 20, 24-yard line? And he just thinks that Mr. McIntosh has the ball for a long time before he realizes that Stetson is well away from him. But in terms of play action, it's interesting to watch how Georgia runs play action from under center versus the gun. And this is just when you see under center, that's oftentimes play action. You're not getting the true RPO look where you can see the defense because what is the QB doing? Turning the back to the defense. They're not really reading anything. This is a true play action pass no matter what.
And again, how I think you can see so much from tight ends here and how they work off of each other. Bowers coming in motion, staying back. But with Bowers looking like he's going to cross the formation, everyone thinks he's always a pass target. He stays in the block here. That allows Darnell Washington he has to navigate through some people, but he gets to be the receiver making this route across the field. Just think it's a brilliant concept you think Bowers is our target. Well, he's going to block for us, and Darnell comes out here.
Yep. And that's the ability to use all the different pieces they have and make everyone a threat. I think that was kind of the brilliance of Monken's offense.
And I think the brilliance of Stetson Bennett on this was just how good he was when he did get out of the pocket, the mobility factor of he could have had a short gain on that, but the fact that he was able to run, you saw him get more confident with throwing on the run. If anything, he may have been more confident doing that than being in the pocket.
Yes.
And Coach Donna would say it all the time when we were doing watch alongs. Get him moving.
He's struggling, get him moving. Yeah. Very much so.
Moving.
And I think that's the nature of him. But, you think about what we've done with the Football 101 videos. We looked at I think we did 4 different ones looking at the running game. Now we're looking at the passing game. Going to keep looking at the passing game. There's going to be more to come here soon.
Yeah, and Mike Bobo historically likes to do some things with tight ends that will motion into H-back and some of the spacing you can get out of that. I don't know if you'll see much of that because I just don't know if Georgia is going to have to do that with the talent it has. But it could be interesting wrinkles if you want to bring blast from the past. Get a Lawson Lucky as an extra blocker from the backfield that way. We'll see.
We'll see.
This has been Football 101 from Film Don't Lie. You see the Connor Grading and Landscaping bug in the corner. They are joining aboard for Film Don't Lie for the season. They've been longtime sponsors of what Brent and I have done here on UGAsports.com. So if you need your yard in Northeast Georgia worked on, grading, landscaping, maybe you want some new pavers, put in a fire pit, any of those things, check out Connor Grading and Landscaping. We thank them for their support, and we thank you for watching this. More Football 101 videos to come. Subscribe to this YouTube